Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Chris with Chris Flores Media, and today I want to talk to you about my thoughts on brand loyalty, camera brand loyalty, all right? We've all been super guilty of it. We've all been guilty of thinking my camera, my brand, it's better than all the rest. Everybody else is absolute trash. All you should be using is my camera brand. And I fell into that trap too. Why? Because when I started learning more about cameras, more about filming, all the channels that I ran into were all Sony users. And I was like, at the time, I had a Fuji X-T30 and I was barely getting to learn how to film and stuff. And I was like, this camera's not giving me the results that I want. Like, I need to upgrade to Sony. The ZV-1 was announced and I sold the X-T30 to get the ZV-1. And let me talk to you about my Sony journey. Like, I'm not just making this up. I'm not just talking because I had one camera. Like, no, I had the ZV-1. From the ZV-1, I got the A6400. From the A6400, I got the A7 III. And then I got the A7C to be a backup camera to my A7 III. So I was well invested in Sony. I had a bunch of Sony lenses, Sigma 24-70, 70-200 f4, Zeiss 55 1.8, the Sony 35 1.8, the Sony 85 1.8. Like, I was all in with Sony. And for my professional work, A7 III, A7C, and like my job, like I film weddings and I usually had one camera on the tripod, one camera on me all day, and I wanted to get a third camera so that I could have a third angle when I film weddings. And I was like, okay, it's time to upgrade. And since like when I first started with cameras, like I was kind of more into photography, but I made my way into just focusing on video, and that's primarily where I make my money, filming weddings. And I was like, I need to upgrade this, right? But when I looked at my upgrade options, like there was really none that were like in my price range, right? Because if I would have just like, maybe if I would have just sold the A7 III and got another A7C, it's literally the same camera. Like there's no upgrade there. If I would have got like an R series camera, literally the same thing in video wise, because they're all 8-bit cameras. So my only option was the A7S III or the FX3. And like both of those are like close to $4,000 and they're like pretty impossible to find right now. So I was like, one, I don't want to pay $4,000 for a camera. Two, they're like super hard to find right now. And I could not find one used either. And I was like, there's no other option. A7 IV is announced and I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's probably going to be my route. And like, funny enough, I told my buddy, I was like, hey, like the goal is A7 IV and 2 A7Cs. And he was like, okay, like, you sure that's what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, like, what other option is there? He was using a Panasonic S5, and he was like, dude, like, my camera's great, it films great, the footage looks amazing. And I was like, yeah, whatever, dude, but Sony is Sony, bro, autofocus, bro. And then he was like, dude, borrow my camera, use my camera for a week or whatever, and like, just try it out. So I was like, okay, I got the camera, and any kind of like thoughts that I had of like Sony was just superior above everybody else, I kind of put it off to the side. I did a little bit of research and I found autofocus settings for the S5 that like absolutely work. And like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, dude, this is just as good. Like, this is amazing. So I played around with it, a bunch of filming here in the studio, just kind of like filming myself, kind of doing the traditional autofocus test, putting it into Final Cut, just seeing how I graded and all that kind of stuff. And then, funny enough, that same weekend that I got to borrow the camera, I had a wedding, like a small intimate backyard wedding. I was like, I'm gonna take it, like whatever. If like the camera fails, like I could just put it away and I have my A7 III, I have my A7C, I'll be okay. So I took it and like I used the S5 all day long. I didn't put it away. It didn't fail me. Like I could count probably maybe 3-4 times that I remember where I put it into manual focus, and one of them was for the first kiss, because like I did not want to miss focus on that. But other than that, like the camera did absolutely great. And then when I was filming in standard, and when I looked at the footage later on, like I was like, it's beautiful. Like it looks freaking amazing. But like since I've been so clouded with everybody on YouTube uses Sony, like I can't use Panasonic. Panasonic sucks. I'm like, but dude, it's working absolutely great for what I need. And I had left my A7C, my A7 III on tripods. The A7 III, I put into manual focus because I wanted it to focus and stay focused on a specific area where they were doing like the sand mixing stuff, or no, they were painting, and like I wanted it to focus just on that, like on that canvas that they were painting on, which obviously if it's in manual, it did great. The A7C, if funny enough, I left it on a tripod, like back, like if it was a normal wedding in the back of the room, kind of far away, and I focused it towards the bride and the groom, and like I left it on autofocus because I was like, it's gonna work, it's gonna lock onto her face, and like it's just gonna stay there because that's like the biggest part of the scene. And like it didn't. It would sometimes focus on her, it would focus on the little girl that was next to her, even though I had it in zone. And then sometimes it would just focus like behind them, like on the fence for like absolutely no reason. I was like, what the heck? Like when I looked at the footage, I was like, what the heck? What happened? It's Sony. But that just goes to show, like, even though Sony has like probably the best autofocus, it's not going to always be reliable. Like if you're going to operate the camera, you need to be in control of what you're filming and how you're filming, and not just depend on the camera, not let the camera control like your story. And I learned that the hard way there. But anyways, going back, like it's absolutely changed my thoughts on camera brand loyalty. Like everyone on YouTube talks about Sony or Canon, Sony or Canon, Sony or Canon, and I was pushing Canon or Sony. I've never used a Canon camera. I was pushing Sony, and like everyone that would ask, everyone that I could give a recommendation to, anybody that would comment on a video, or anybody that would ask a question in a Facebook group, like I would always be like, dude, get Sony. Sony's the absolute best. Like that's all you ever need. But now, after using the S5, like I'm sold. I've actually bought the S5. I've used it. I love it. And funny thing is, I returned it, but I didn't return it because I didn't like it. I returned it because now I want to get the S1. And the reason why I want to get the S1 over the S5, it has a bigger body and it has unlimited recording time in 4K 10-bit versus the S5. So for that reason, for my needs, I want the S1. And like it's so crazy because everybody on YouTube is like, Panasonic autofocus is complete trash and yada yada yada, Sony, Canon. But like after actually using it and putting it into practice out in the field and here in this like YouTube setting, like it's absolutely great. And funny enough, I've actually jumped to two different brands because the camera that's recording this whole video is a Fuji X-T4. I traded my A7C to like a photographer guy for his Fuji X-T4, and like I'm absolutely amazed. I love this little camera. I don't know why I love it as much as I do, but I really freaking do. And it has killer video specs. It's crop censored, but that doesn't freaking matter. Like it's video, and if you know what you're doing, like you're gonna get an amazing image out of the camera, whether it's full frame or crop sensor, right? And that's what I want to tell you. Like, don't necessarily go based on what everyone's telling you. Just go like try something out. And like you might not have access to like just, I've got a buddy that has a Panasonic, a buddy that has a Fuji, I have a buddy that has that. You might not have access to it. But like if you're interested, you could always rent something, check it out for a week and see if it works for you. And like don't necessarily just go on what other people on YouTube are telling you or what you believe to be the only brand in the world that matters, because that was me. And I absolutely wish that instead of buying the A7C when I did, I would have bought a Panasonic camera, because that would have just I would have been able to upgrade and step up my quality so much sooner than I have now. And that's the thing that kind of like, I should have just listened, right? But I didn't want to listen. So that's what I want to tell to you. Camera loyalty, it's great. If you have a camera system that you love and works for you, awesome. But if you don't, or if you're looking for an upgrade like I was, don't be scared to try something else. You might be able to save some money and in the process just get better results. And that's exactly what happened to me. My goal was to get the A7 IV, which was like about $2,500 here in the US. And I got a used S5 for $1,500. I got pretty much the exact same specs as the A7 IV, full frame, 4K 60 with a crop, and then shooting in 10-bit. Like that's literally the A7 IV specs, but the Panasonic has better specs using a Ninja. Like, it's got ProRes up to 6K. Like, it's absolutely amazing. So don't be scared to try new things. Try them out. You never know what might happen. And camera brand loyalty, just throw it out. Like, it doesn't matter, man. Every camera is going to give you great results, and pretty much you're the person. Like I think about it like video games. Like, I might grab a video game and like I'll be like, oh my god, like this character's so dumb, like it doesn't work, well, yada yada. But like, who's controlling the controller? So same thing with the camera. You might grab a camera and be like, oh my god, this camera sucks. Like, the image sucks. And yeah, sure, if it's like a super old camera, yeah. But if it's like one of these more recent cameras, like, it's not the camera. It might be you. So camera brand loyalty, it don't matter, man. Try something out, try something new. And if you love it, who cares what other people around you might say, all right? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, all right? Peace.